Good day, listeners. I welcome you to the maiden edition of the second quarter of this program series. The theme for this quarter is Principles for Effective Change Leadership. A big thank you to all our listeners who tuned in throughout the first quarter of the program, Leading Change in 2023. We hope that you have been able to learn one or two valuable lessons. It will be fulfilling for us to know that you have been able to apply and in fact still apply the principles that you have learned. We spoke a lot to what it takes to envision. We looked at the guiding principles and competencies required for change. Now, in this second quarter, we'll be zooming our lenses to focus on those crucial principles, behavioral competencies that are required for every change leader. We'll be looking at various topics, which include principles of change leadership, critical leadership steps for successful organizational change. Also, we'll be looking at various models of change leadership. I'm pretty sure a lot of us would have studied different models, of change leadership. But what we'll be looking at in this quarter, we are going to be bringing in change leaders to share, the practicality of adopting these various models, of the challenges, involved in implementing these change models, to be bringing to bear, the expertise and experience so that we all can learn from them. And we'll be looking at the various models, which include what we call the VR model, which actually have been said to be a roadmap of how leadership can consciously develop, and practice change leadership through using these lenses of relationship, roles, responsibility to get the results. And it has been said that these 4 R's are the building, elements that every leader must get right. We'll be dwelling into that. In fact, we go further to even look at the 4A model of change leadership, talking about the A's, the alignment, how to use the second A, ability, architecture, agility. How do you want to focus on these 4 primary factors, which are very critical to execution excellence? Talking about the change paradigm is very important. We'll also be looking at what we call the 6E leadership model. And the E, a lot, we spoke to the envisioning, which is the first one. That is, which really means your ability to visualize, your ability to imagine a future possibilities. And that's one very good attribute of great leaders, Great change management leaders must always have the ability to envision a bright future, Then the second is, how do you enlist, how do you embody, how do you empower, how do you evaluate, how do you encourage, These and many more, among other topics, are those things we'll be bringing to bear in this second quarter. I'm still your host, Titilola Ogunshono, on Amorgate Radio Communication. Today I will speak to the golden rule of change leadership. In our last program series, when we started leading change in 2023, we spoke to what it means to be a leader, And you can't overflog what it takes to be a leader. For a leader, it takes your ability to influence people, your ability to direct people. In fact, your ability to motivate people to discover talent, to bring out the best in them to achieve set organizational objective matters. As a leader, you don't have to force them. They must see you as someone that they can look up to. They must see you as a role model. So it's very important, even for a leader, be it middle level management leader, senior level management leader, whatever capacity you are acting as a leader in an organization, be it the private sector, the public sector, or the non-governmental organization, whatever position you find yourself as a leader, the onus lies on you to be able to influence people, direct their activities to achieve set goals, to achieve the vision of the organization. Now, how much more change leader? Now, let's get this right. A change leader means that you are going to be leading other leaders. Okay, we have middle level leaders, we have senior level leaders, we have leaders of various business units. So if you are going to be driving change, overall change for an organization, it means that you have more responsibilities because you have to lead other leaders. Okay, so this brings me to the golden rule of leadership. Now I'll take it this way: leading others is a privilege that is earned, not a right. I'm going to take it again. The leading others is a privilege that is earned, not a right. If you are just joining us, thank you so much for joining. This is the maiden edition of our program, which we're just introducing today, the maiden edition, Principles for Effective Change Leadership. I'm still your host, Titilola Ogunsona, on Armor Gate Radio Communication. Now, like I said, a change leader, you have more responsibilities because you have to be able to lead other leaders. So we call a change leader a leader of leaders. Okay, so the golden rule, you need to remember that leading others is a privilege that is earned, not a right. I'm sure some of people looking at that are in this leadership position. Okay, yes, I understand that you have the first degree, a second degree, probably a third degree. You have your professional certifications, okay? Maybe the candles you burnt overnight or the energies you expended during the night, okay? The years of research has paid off getting that leadership seat. Fine. Yes, but you can get that leadership seat based on your technical competence, but the leadership role, okay, your ability to lead, okay, it's something you have to earn. So I am the change leader, the GM of a change, that's a vision to change, okay, from what you used to be to a new thing. So I'm heading the change thing. Yes, my technical competency has gotten me to that seat, but in order to achieve the change vision, okay, as a leader, you have to earn, and it's a privilege. It's a privilege that is earned. Leading is a privilege that is earned, not a right. All leaders should understand that leading first and foremost is about service. Anytime you're in a position of authority, a position to lead, to bring about change, whether you like it or not, your mindset matters. You are not there, to lord things over your team members. You are actually there to serve. Okay? When you're in a leadership position as a change leader, you need to work with the mindset that you have been placed in a position to serve others. Now, those you are going to serve would vary. I will call those you are there to serve, which will vary from organization to organization, okay, as your stakeholders. In fact, we have those who call the internal stakeholders and the external stakeholders. Whether you like it or not, you need to balance both internal stakeholders, the interests of our internal stakeholders, and external stakeholders. So let's take a closer look at your internal stakeholders. Your team members, those in your unit, in other units, functional units related to your position. Okay, how do you relate with them? You are there to serve them. Okay, how do you relate to your clients, to your customers? You are there because they are there. Okay, how do you, let's even take it externally. How do you relate to your suppliers? How do you relate to your vendors? How do you relate to the shareholders of the business? So as a change leader, you must understand that even government agencies, how do you even relate to your community? Okay, so that's why issues like corporate governance will come in. Okay, when you talk about corporate service responsibility, your CSR is also comes in. Okay, how do you relate to all of these stakeholders? You are in a position where you have to understand the interests of the various stakeholders, and how do you want to balance these interests? Now, it's important, even from your team members, you are expected as a leader to bring out the potentials in your team. Now, the interesting thing is the world has moved from unhealthy competition to collaborations. So in every team, everything will be very dynamic. We have people with all these skills. We have people with communication skills. We have people with IT skills. We have people with finance skills, with a lot of the skill sets. Okay, so your ability to understand individuals in your team, bringing out the potentials in them, because you have a goal as a team leader. This is the goal. And if your goal, for instance, is to move from being, if you're in the banking sector, regional bank, okay, to say, look, I want to be a multinational bank, not just a Nigerian bank. I'm in Nigeria. I want to take it to the global space. It means that, you have to understand the skill set of your team members. Do they have enough skill set to achieve this change vision? Or do you have to upscale the skill set? How do you know what to upscale? How do you even know what to leverage on when you do not understand your team members? And you cannot understand them by logic things over them. You have to come with that mindset, I'm here to serve. I'm here to work with you. That's why we keep saying that as a change leader, you have to move from I to we. It's collective. It's collective responsibility. You cannot do it alone. Okay? So that is golden rule. Now, are there some practical steps, one or two things we can, leverage on, build on to achieve this golden rule? In fact, I would say, in that respect, like I said, leading others is a privilege that is earned, not a right. So what are those practical steps to earn that leadership role? What I mean, how are those practical steps for people, your team members, to see you as a leader and they can allow you lead them? Now, I would say respect others. Okay? But the first step is even asking yourself, how well do you know yourself? See, even when you talk about emotional intelligence, your ability to put yourself in other people's shoes, your ability to read unspoken words, your ability to read the non-verbal communication, your ability to really genuinely care about others. You cannot give what you don't have. If I'm someone who do not love myself naturally, I cannot give love if I don't even love myself. If I don't have self-respect for myself, how can I respect the other person? So your ability to understand people starts from the position of mastery of your own personal emotions. So I know that you know what the SWOT analysis is, okay? The strength, the weakness, opportunity, threats. We do that a lot when you're analyzing business environment, your strength, in terms of strategy, business strategy, as an organization. I would say, let's apply those principles to ourselves. First thing, ask yourself, what are your strengths as a leader? Are you empathetic? Are you a visionary? Are you someone who is tenacious? Are you someone who is resilient? These are beautiful virtues, okay? Are you someone who is a great listener? Okay, those are your strengths. Now, what are your weaknesses? Sometimes, once you know your weakness, you can now analyze those weaknesses and find ways to mitigate the detriment of those weaknesses that can hinder you from achieving your set goals. Now, if naturally I am temperamental, if naturally I'm someone that gets annoyed easily, once I have noticed that is my trigger, that is a weak point that I have, what helps me as a leader is to ask myself, what are those trigger points? What are those things that get at me easily? So because I know this thing, I can work on myself. Because nobody wants, or if I'm someone who swings, whose mood swings easily. I'm happy today, I'm sad the next moment. And when I'm sad, everybody around me has to be sad. Most people will not want to relate with that kind of leader. Okay? So once you understand your pen and paper to do a thorough analysis of who you are, it makes it easier for you to see what are practical steps on you, getting out, overcoming those barriers. And because you're going to be a barrier. You can't be an effective team player if all you want to do is to throw out others. Yes, it's good to be assertive. Okay, it's good to be firm. But the flip side to it is when you are too assertive, when you are too firm, it means that you're not going to be flexible. And flexibility is important when you are dealing with others in a team. When you want to work with people in other units. Okay, so yes, you have your strength, like I said, your weakness. Once you have these things and you can mitigate the demerit, by nature, I call it nature versus nurture. There are some things that naturally nature has bestowed on us. Some people are very quiet. Some people are empathetic. Some people are go-getters. Some people procrastinate. You cannot keep procrastinating as a leader and you expect others, to do something else. Okay, now, so it means that you have to, work on yourself. and it's a place for growth. The biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. So as a leader, how well do you know yourself? Do this SWOT analysis. You can leverage on your strength, so you turn them into opportunities for yourself, and also work on your weakness so that they will not become threats to you achieving the change vision as a leader. Okay, now people always say this thing that office shows the person, that the power brings out a man's inner world. So you have to write that yourself. How do you want people to perceive you? Okay, so what kind of leader do you want to be? The truth is, wherever you are, power will only bring it out. Doesn't mean that's always been there. Some people tell me he was not a proud guy, just when he got to that position, he's not very proud. No, he has always been someone proud, but he didn't have the opportunity to display who he is, who he was initially. So power will always bring out the kind of person that you are. But you can rewrite that story. You can write the narrative by being deliberate about yourself, your growth pattern. And it comes from a position of actually knowing yourself. Okay? Now, knowing yourself well will help you to understand others. Okay? So you must seek to know your team members. You cannot influence those you do not know. And people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them. So, and people are different, okay? So, understanding the diversity of your team members will give you the ability as a leader to understand them and know how best to manage them. In fact, when you understand them well, you can say your team members to be engaged and you get their buy-in. When you respect them, you know them, it makes it easier for you to respect them. And once you respect them, I'm telling you, not only will they get engaged, giving you the accolades, giving you the respect becomes a given. It becomes a walk in the park for you. Okay? So this is very, very important as a leader. How well do you know yourself? Know yourself well. Do this SWOT analysis, okay? So that you are conscious about being the kind of leader that can influence others. Then you must understand your team members, diversity of your team members. I will say, like I said earlier, diversity of the stakeholders. Okay? Now, then you now want to know the diversity of the stakeholders, know what they want. They can balance varying interests, such that you're able to envision what the impediments, or possible impediment to achieving the change vision could be. Is a continuous process. Okay, thank you so much for staying tuned. If you are just joining us, this is the maiden episode of our program. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you are just joining us, this is the maiden episode of the second quarter of our program, Principles for Effective Change Leadership. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. I'm still your host, Tituola Ogushono, on Amorgate Radio Communication. Yes, okay, we'll be speaking to the golden rule of change leadership. As a change leader, remember I said that you are a leader of leaders. Okay, so you should understand that leadership, leading others, is a privilege that is earned and not a right. Now, how well do you know yourself? You have spoken to it. Then how well do you know your team members? Knowing them would allow you know how to motivate them. Knowing them will allow you know how to encourage them to bring out the potentials in them, so that your change vision can be actualized, can be achieved. They can learn to trust you. You can get that buy-in and they become engaged. Now, another thing that's also important, which I like to talk about, is you must create an environment. You have to be deliberate about where people can grow, where you can get people out of their shells to grow. You must encourage healthy competition among your team members. Okay, remember I said it's competition, but healthy competition among them. Now, when there is healthy competition, it brings out various skill sets from the people. Sometimes you have some hidden skills that you do not even know, in the talent that you don't even know you have. So as a leader, you must create the environment where you are consciously seeking out to bring out the best in others. Okay, and it means that you have to create an environment. I will call it, an equal, playing a ground for employees. Okay, where all your team members, okay, even the organization, it translates to even the organization at large. Well, the culture is that people feel safe. People, you create a feel-safe environment for people to display the skill set that are in their natural talent. It's very important. You must encourage healthy competition. It's very important. And as a leader, okay, I remember once the culture of when I had the culture when I took up a consulting job, and the culture there was people would always commit. You get there, and it was a construction company where they had timelines. I realized that they were not meeting up to the timelines. And they always give me the excuse on how it was not possible. So the first thing I had to do was the project I was heading directly. I set timelines and I ensured that I consistently met up before the time. Okay, so if the deadline was saying 4 weeks, we are supposed to have achieved this milestone. What I did as a leader then was ensure that I gave myself a timeline of 2.5 weeks. It was 4 weeks. I gave myself 2.5 weeks, and I made sure that I was able to complete each stage within those 2.5 weeks. So it means that I was not just talking. Okay, I didn't even have to talk. I didn't have to scream. I saw that people felt if as a leader, I could meet up with the 2.5 weeks instead of the 4 weeks, then they had no option than to meet up. So as a leader, you must lead by example. You must lead the talk. Okay, you must walk the talk. You must set example for others. Okay, and when you set example for as a change leader, that this is the way, this is the culture. You must lead that culture. And culture, when you talk about culture, you are speaking to the way of life of a particular set of people. So even when the culture on ground we're not going to, enable the change vision as a leader, the perceived vision, the vision that you have, come up with, or you are trying to come up with. That this is the vision, this is where we should go as an organization. You have to lead that part. So if what is going to take, the skill set is going to take is for people to be more creative, the question to me as a leader is, am I creative? If it was going to take is for us to be innovative, the question I should ask myself as a leader is, am I innovative? If this what we need, the new culture, that would enable the new vision is team bonding. The question as a leader is, how well do I know my team? If where we're going as an organization is that we're going to need, we are going to need people to do a lot in terms of community service. Okay, the question is, as a leader, have I actually done a lot in that regard? Have I motivated my people? Have I encouraged my people? Have I created an environment where people can actually be free and bring out the best in them? Okay, so the work as a leader is that you must see that position as a position of service. You are there to serve. It cannot be done alone. It has to be done through communal, collective effort in an organization. On a final note, okay, I'm going to ask you this question. As a change leader, are you always right? When you make mistakes and you can see, that this indeed is a mistake, how do you react when you are corrected? Are you humble enough to admit that this was a flaw? Are you humble enough to, try to make up for the mistake? In fact, I will ask you, have you created an environment where people can point out your mistakes to you? Because sometimes we do not create that feedback mechanism. Sometimes we do not create that environment where people can give us the feedback as it should be. So as a leader, even when you are bringing birth, all of those change strategies, you must be conscious of creating a feedback mechanism such that your people, your team members, all relevant stakeholders can evaluate your actions. I think that's what. You must create a feedback mechanism where people can evaluate your actions. In fact, sometimes, how do you know that you are getting the strategy right? In fact, when you are getting it right, how do you even measure how good, how effective those strategies are? So you must build an environment where feedback, is a must. Where people can give you feedback freely, without getting scared. And you as a leader, must also ensure that when feedback is given to you, you reach out back. A mechanism where you can reach out back to them to say, I have gotten this feedback, thank them when necessary, when you need to thank them, apologize if any mistake has been made, and if there's a need for you to, review your policies, your process where appropriate. If there has been an error, in the process that has been put in place, then you make amendments when necessary. So it's very important for a leader, once you have the mindset that you're there to serve, then your approach to criticisms, your approach to feedback, it changes. Then you see feedback as a gift, and you have to be deliberate about getting feedback from your team members and all relevant stakeholders. Well, we'll draw the curtain here. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Okay, for feedback, for questions, for inquiry, kindly send your mail to contact@thearmorgate.org. I'll take it again. If you have any feedback, any suggestion, comments for us, kindly send a mail to contact@thearmorgate.org. Okay, and you can equally call all of this number. It's a WhatsApp line, or send WhatsApp message to this line 08079574151 08079574151. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Hope to meet with you next week, same time on Armor Gate Radio Communication. Thank you.